My name is Emma Maggs and this is Wildfemmes. Today's guest is someone who inspires me, teaches me, and I admire her greatly. You may have seen her on your TV screens most recently as Nicolette Stone on the hit Aussie drama Neighbours. Alongside being an esteemed multidisciplinary actress, she is a writer and producer who has just finished her first short film that has been accepted to film festivals all around the world and is currently in development on her first feature. She is someone who is not afraid to do the work, personally and professionally, and shows up as her authentic self every single day. This is something I'm definitely trying to achieve in my life. Currently living the nomad life following her career, I was able to squeeze some time in with her and in person no less, which is such a rarity. Charlotte Chimes, thank you so much for joining me in the studio today.
Oh, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's been so long since I've actually squeezed you.
I know.
So it would be remiss of me not to start with Nicolette Stone.
Yes, naughty Nick.
Wow. What a storm in a teacup. Her story arc through the whole series was drama, drama, drama.
Yeah, it followed her.
I just thought we should start off with like a little bit of Neighbours trivia. Mm-hmm. So it was the longest running Australian TV show spanning 37 years. It has been the launching pad for some of Australia and the world's most famous exports that include Margot Robbie, Kylie Minogue, Guy Pearce, Russell Crowe, Alan Dale, Liam Hemsworth, and Delta Goodrem, and of course, Charlotte Chimes, to name a few. And your role as Nicolette Stone is the first lesbian character to join the series. There has been bi characters that always end up in hetero relationships, but Nicolette was really blazing the trail for the queer community. So I wanted to ask, what was it like to land such an impactful role? And also, how important was it to you to play that role authentically?
I just want to quickly touch on the storm in a teacup. I think that's the perfect way to describe her, and no one has said that before, so thank you. It was really very, very exciting. I'd worked so hard for so long, and to finally get a yes on something, which I never imagined I'd move to Melbourne or work on Neighbours. So it was kind of like surprising that was the thing that I was going to go and do, but also very exciting. And then it came back to, okay, well, how do I do this justice? Because I'm not a lesbian. And I was about to play a lesbian, and I did, like you said, wanted to play it very authentically. So I made sure that I contacted, friends of mine in the queer community who are lesbians to talk to them about what their experience was so that I could, keep that in my back pocket. So when I went to play Nicolette and what motivated her, I could do that from a place of authenticity.
And respect.
And respect, exactly, to what it is like to be a lesbian, the lesbian experience.
And you did that so well, and your fans responded incredibly well. Like every time I went to your page, there was another fan group sharing an image they'd created, a story they'd created, giving their snapshot of an episode. You really did reach the masses.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like, having fan groups?
It was wild. I mean, there's a few amazing fans who I still kind of am in touch with a bit on Instagram now.
That's so
which
sweet.
Is so great. Shout out to you guys, know who you are. Shout out to you. And one of the best things actually was receiving fan mail from people who said how the character of Nicolette and her experience on the show, how it helped them come to terms with their own sexuality. And then because she was this fierce woman who was kind of unashamed to be herself and go after the things she wanted, it helped them then come out to their families.
Wow, that is super, super impactful. And like, I guess with great responsibility comes great power. That kind of leads me to ask the question, like, how important do you think it is for people to have representation and see themselves in media?
It's extremely important, and I think we're definitely getting better, but there is still a long way to go. But the hope is that any young child can see themselves reflected on screens around the world, so that they can go, wow, that's possible for someone like me. I could choose that as my career, in any kind of media landscape.
And if you could give advice to any young actors out there starting out from any community, what would be your advice?
That if you never give up, it'll work out. I honestly, like, my sister says that to me all the time. There have been many times where I kind of wavered on whether or not I was going to continue with this pipe dream of mine. And it was, if you never give up, it'll eventually work out, and things might just have to pivot and look differently to the way you originally thought they were going to be. But just work really hard and enjoy the ride. I think that's the biggest thing, is that, enjoy the journey of life. You've still got to enjoy it.
Yeah. You've got to find those moments every day.
Exactly. And celebrate the little wins along the way.
Yeah. I agree. I think that is a really important thing. I'm a goalpost person. So you set me a goalpost and I will get there. And I think sometimes I get lost on the journey. But that was a really beautiful segue, because I did want to talk to you. At the time you got cast on Neighbours, you and I were actually working together as producers.
Yes.
And I just remember you were doing oodles and oodles of auditions, and it was in the middle of a pandemic as well. You were doing that many self-tapes. And for those of you who don't know what that is, you record yourself doing a read of the script they send you. And the fact that you got cast in the middle of a pandemic without them actually even meeting you is truly remarkable.
I always think about my callback, which was on Zoom in my parents' kitchen, and my mum was leaning along the kitchen bench, flirting with me in one scene and then fighting with me in the other. And that was it.
I have seen Mama Kay do many a read with you.
Yes.
And feature in many a Zoom work
Mama
call
Kay,
with us.
she does play a lot of characters.
Yeah,
thanks, Mama Kay.
Along that journey, you got a lot of no's. You got rejected a lot of times, and
more than yeses.
Yeah, and there were tears.
Oh, sometimes, yes.
Taking the path of an actress, you really do set yourself up for rejection. So how do you cope with all the no's and the rejection, and what's your mechanism for moving forward?
I mean, it's definitely changed as I've gotten older. I'd say now it's that trusting that everything is working out for my highest good is the biggest thing. So even if I thought I wanted something really badly, it just didn't work out. It's like, okay, you know what? It's okay. I'm okay to be disappointed. I really wanted it. It didn't work out. It's that whole thing of like failure. What is failure? It is just an outcome that did not happen the way you wanted it to, is the way I like to rephrase it. Yep. And that it doesn't have to mean anything about me. It doesn't have to mean that I'm not talented enough or attractive enough, or they didn't like my voice, or in the right, any of those things that you can like go down the rabbit hole of why you didn't get something. It's about going, no, I know that I have self-worth and I can still value myself, and it's okay that it didn't work out. But you really do. You just have to be persistent. And there are times relentless, exactly. Every now and again, if it's something that you really wanted, you got really close to, it's like, it is okay to feel down, to have a cry. And then the next day...
What do you do when you have those moments?
I'm trying to think of like the last time it was something I really wanted. There was one earlier in the year, this role that I really wanted, and I kind of went above and beyond. I put down extra scenes for the role, and I felt emotionally connected. I could visualize myself in the show, which is rare to happen when you're reading a script. And I found out the night before my birthday that I didn't get it on my way to a birthday dinner.
What a blow.
It was a blow. But it was kind of like, well, how do we define success? And I was on my way to this birthday dinner with some of my closest friends, and it was like, success, I can still be successful in the way that the relationships that I have, the fun that I have, the life that I get to lead. It's okay that this one role didn't happen. I can be disappointed about it, but in the present moment, I'm on my way to go celebrate my birthday with people I love. Be in the present moment.
Who will support you through those times.
Totally.
It is very resilient of you to be able to combat the no's, and because you have to dig deep and deal with the emotions, because if you don't deal with those emotions, like what happens to them? They surface in your body.
Well, I always love to say that emotion is energy that needs motion. So you have to allow yourself to feel it so that it can move through you, so that you can move on. And I just feel like there have been times when maybe I've, not allowed myself to feel the disappointment, and it manifests in other ways. It's much longer to recover from, as opposed to being like, okay, I'm allowed to be down about this. I really wanted it. I worked really hard, so that you can move on. That, tomorrow is a new day. The sun will rise. I will take a breath.
And as Vanessa Buddha says, trust the process.
Trust the process.
Yes, which I try to tell myself so regularly.
Totally. I do want to say, though, I got a message from my agent a couple of weeks ago. I was on hold for this feature film, and I was like, why have we heard yet what's going on? And he sent me a text, doesn't look good with this one.
Oh, wow.
And I was direct. I was like, A, what the fuck? B, I quit. I can't do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm just going to give up. It was like one of these moments of, I just can't do it anymore. And then 10 minutes later, I got another text from him, and he was like, sorry, does look good on this one.
Wow, way to send you on an emotional roller coaster.
Literally. And then it was kind of like afterwards, I was with my mum, and she was like, do you think that was a bit dramatic, your response? So yeah, I have moments like that as well, just so you know.
I mean, if you don't have one unhinged moment every day, are you really striving for balance?
No, you're not.
Right? It's completely normal. Now, you are someone who, by choice of career path, does have to put your face public facing a lot of the time. You are a stunning, beautiful, talented woman, but we all have insecurities. And Wildfemmes, at its very crux, is about celebrating ourselves, and a big part of that is accepting our bodies. And I was just wondering, is there any insecurities that you might have that you'd feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, for sure. I have pigmentation, on my face, my chest, my arms. I'm Irish heritage, and I go through phases of being really good in the sun, and then phases of being, like recently in Europe, not very good and a bit naughty. Like my dad bought me a Bunnings hat because he got sick of me borrowing his too much. So it's like I do go through phases of like, I'm only ever going to leave the house with long sleeves on and a hat. But sometimes in summer, you don't want to wear a sleeve. What if I was wearing a Bunnings hat right now? That's not going to work. I mean, we are inside, so that wouldn't work. It's ironic because, there's a filter on Instagram, which is a freckle filter. And people love that.
Having freckles is actually one of my insecurities. Because
Yeah.
I'm a dermatologist.
See,
if
they
I was
look
getting
great to me, though.
a skin check would call me a high risk because I'm
high risk.
covered
Yep.
everywhere with freckles. And that's always been something I always felt like looking at the magazine covers with those flawless.
They're flawless.
Flawless airbrush finish that, oh my God, I'm never going to be flawless.
I think that's what it was. It was when I was
never gonna be
younger.
flawless.
And looking at any of those things as you were growing up, it was kind of like, oh, it's clear. It's clean. But then, you learn that it's all airbrushing.
Yeah.
No one actually looks like that.
So do you think mags and online publications would have as much readership, I should say, if we started leaning towards
Yes.
less airbrushed imagery?
Oh, look.
Because think about working with big brands.
Personally, yes. I would far prefer that. But then we live in, the Kardashian era, the rise of the Kardashians. Like Kim was quoted recently saying that the whole point is like for it to look really like it's no effort, but really that it takes a lot of effort. So it's like, okay, great. You spend 10 hours a day to look like you've just woken up. It's an unsustainable, unrealistic goal for young women to want to look like that. I can't stand it. It's vacuous, and it makes me sometimes be like, why is it that I care so much about how I'm looking to go to this thing or whatever? It's not about how I look, it's about who I am. It's not the essence of who I am, the way that we look. So that really
Bit triggering.
Yeah,
well, it took me a little while to stop using, like, on the Instagram stories, you can swipe and have a nice filter that makes you feel a little more glowy.
Totally.
I don't use those anymore, but I've got to admit, I felt like I looked better with it. But
Same.
Since I had a daughter, I felt like
Goldie. Hi, Goldie.
Hi, baby. What image am I setting for her if
Totally.
I don't want my skin shown naturally? Like, I want her to be proud of her skin. So
Totally.
she has been a really big motivator for me to start just leaning in. You did mention hard work and trajectory. Many of us have fallen victim to over planning our life. I definitely thought I would have a kid at least by the time I'm 30, and I'm now 38, just had my first one. And career-wise, I'd set some very high benchmarks I wanted to achieve. And whilst I have ticked a lot of amazing career goals off my list, there's still a lot I haven't achieved. So I wanted to ask you, where are you at in life? Are you on track? What did that trajectory look like?
I'm certainly not where I thought I would be. I thought by now I would be, a famous actress living in LA. Living in LA, married with a cavoodle and owning a house in the hills and maybe even an apartment in Paris. Like, as I got older, it was kind of like, okay, what is the ideal of what I want my life to be like? How do I want to feel in my life?
Yeah,
and then working towards that. Because I think sometimes, I'm similar to you of having very clear goals, and then
when they don't go to
and then we don't know the plan.
Unravel.
It's like, exactly, where it's kind of like, how can I pivot? How can I pivot to make this work? I did not think I was going to book Neighbours and move to Melbourne. That was never something that I conceived was going to be possible. I thought it was definitely going to happen in America.
Well, I should thank you for one of your pivots, because it was actually due to one of your pivots that you ended up working for me as a producer. We met at
Neighbours
Neighbours & Co. Thank you, Stu Tuttle, the
Thanks,
founder.
Suey. You kept me afloat. I paid my rent on those Sundays.
Yeah, gotta make the jiggle. We definitely bonded over our love for wellness and health, and
totally.
how do we optimize our health and live long, healthy, happy lives. Now, you and I are heavily into our woo, and we have always integrated it into business. So let's talk a little bit about boo woo. What are some practices or rituals that you do? Maybe not every day, but like what sort of things do you integrate into your life?
Well, I do guided meditations often. Which are all about, manifestation. So it's all about visualizing something that I want, and then it being in color, and then stepping into that image and being a part of that moving image. It's that whole thing of like, they talk about manifestation, about visualizing it and then feeling the feelings as if it's already happened, because our subconscious and conscious mind don't know the difference. Also, at the moment, I've been tapping daily. Because
EFT. Can you just explain to us a little bit about what that is?
So EFT is emotional frequency technique. It's you start by tapping on the karate chop on the side of your hand, saying the negative statement of how you're feeling, so that it's that whole thing of accepting how I'm feeling, so that I can then let it move through me, and then you continue through different points in your body by saying then positive affirmations. And I feel like that makes a massive difference to my anxiety, stress levels, of being in a bit of a state of nomadic life at the moment, not exactly knowing where I'm going next, and also then leaning into that. And then I keep affirming that, the whole thing is, the greater the unknown, the greater the possibility. Being open to, okay, this is what the ideal I want it to look like, being open to doors opening, because when a door opens easily, that's when you're to step through it. So trusting that that's all going to happen. Other things that I do are like, you've seen me, I've got affirmation reminders on my phone that will pop up at certain times of the day.
You actually did that for my husband as well. When he was selling his beard for $1 million, there's an affirmation that still comes up on his phone.
Does it really?
Actually, today I'm going to sell my beard for $1 million.
Oh, I love that. So, I've got 9 a.m. I'm an award-winning actress. Lunchtime, everything is queued up for my success. 2 o'clock, my mind and body are in perfect alignment. 6 o'clock, I own my own power. So they're just little reminders that I say to myself every day, because it's that whole thing about repetition, it's compounding interest.
Oh, I love that.
Which is really good.
What is your favorite affirmation?
At the moment, because it does change, is I am enough.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a fave. Because I feel like it encapsulates everything when it comes to work, relationships.
Why do you think women in particular have issues with worthiness?
Because of the patriarchy, babe.
How long have we got?
Yeah, seriously. And also, I think I do want to definitely touch on the pivot coming to work for you. It was the best change that happened to me in my life. I feel like it opened up a world of possibilities that I did not know were there about producing. And I just loved how you were this encouraging, intelligent, boss who lives by the quote that a rising tide lifts all ships, because I feel like that sometimes does lack in female relationships. It's, 100%. We think that there's only space for one powerful woman. So sometimes it's that pecking thing. We want to bring other women down. Well, it's like, no, there is space for all of us to succeed. How can we help rise each other up?
100%. Yeah, well, that really stemmed from being very fortunate in my first TV job that my network EP, Sandy Patterson, took me under her wing and basically said, it's not rocket science. Let's get you trained up.
I love that.
And
well, I thank her for you.
Yeah, she really instilled a lot of amazing values in me that I've always carried on. And it's always been important to me to ensure that every link in the chain feels that they are important to the production, because it is everyone is so crucial. Like I can't do everything.
No, that's exactly it.
So thank you so much for saying that.
Hey, thank you.
It's very lovely. You mentioned you're living a really nomadic lifestyle at the moment. So how do you keep on track with your health when you are traveling and living out of a suitcase and strange hours, with different
jet
film
lag
shoots and stuff like that, and jet lag? How do you keep on track?
So I just yesterday moved into a place where I'm staying for the next week to 10 days, and the first thing I did was went and I bought some eggs and lemons and to have a few things there. So it's like, okay, great, I know that I have food there for breakfast, because I'm the kind of person who, if I don't eat a protein breakfast every morning, you don't want to be around me. It could be terrifying for the other person.
I know. Well, I have fond memories of you eating lamb chops for breakfast over the bin.
lamb lollipops are just the perfect little breakfast morsel. Mwah, I love it. If you haven't tried it, try it. A lamb chop for breakfast, j'adore. So that's number one. Number two is, making sure that I take the vitamins with me that, I take like a probiotic. I take magnesium every night. So making sure that I always have those with me.
What's a supplement that you think like every woman should be taking? Obviously you're not
exactly.
To reiterate, she's not a health professional, but you are someone who does a lot of research and your mum has done a lot of research.
Yeah, so I would say vitamin D is a big one. Get your vitamin D levels checked because if they're not at an adequate level by the age of 30, you really struggle to get them up after 30.
I think Dr. Olivia was recently talking about this as well.
So vitamin D, but also magnesium because it's amazing for muscle relaxation and to help you sleep. And if you can get one that has, vitamin B's, C's, all the other good stuff in it, zinc, they're amazing as well.
Yeah, well, good sleep hygiene is so important.
So important.
For us.
And then that's the other thing is making sure that, in my routine, carving out 10 minutes a day to do some form of a meditation because I know that helps me overall in every area. So making sure that I have, breakfast that I can cook so that I can go for my day, go do whatever I need to do in the day. And then also, meditating and making sure that I pre-plan outfits is a big thing for me because otherwise in the mornings if I'm in a rush it's stressful. I need to know and
if
what's
you ask
the weather
someone
tomorrow?
does this look alright and they say no, you just completely unfurl.
Totally.
You're like, well, that's the only outfit
and
I
look,
had.
that might sound superficial
Trivial,
of me or trivial, but it is something that I know that it's like if I've got that pre-planned, that outfit is ironed, ready to go, that's one thing I don't need to think about tomorrow. It's like Obama wore the same suit,
so he never had to think about
it.
Well, that's like me with my sets. I love a matching set.
Exactly.
I don't have to pick a top and a bottom.
They look amazing on you as well.
Thank you so much.
It's like they were made for you.
Something that I really appreciate being in your presence is that you're very comfortable being in the masculine energy and your feminine energy. And when we actually shot for Wildfemmes, you said that when you were younger, you thought the definition of femininity was having voluptuous breasts. And I wanted to ask you, how do you define femininity today?
Femininity for me these days is definitely it's the essence of who I am. It's not the body that I live in or the clothes that I wear or how I look. It is the essence of who I am, which definitely changed for me through my mum's cancer experience. She was diagnosed with breast cancer 5 years ago now, which just feels crazy that we've been on this massive tumultuous journey for 5 years and that she's made it to the other side because, after she had her mastectomy.
So she's only got
one breast.
One breast.
Yeah. It was one of those things where it was like, well, how could I correlate being feminine with having boobs? Because my mum to me is still this
goddess,
this beautiful superhuman with one boob and she's still extremely feminine to me. It
can't be the physical.
It can't be the physical. It can't be. So that really helped shape and change that for me as I got older.
When you think about being in different environments and having to lean into your masculine or feminine energy, how do you navigate through that? Because as a producer, often I was working in male-dominated environments on occasion. I do often find, especially in the more larger stressful situations, that I am sort of in my masculine a lot. And I had to learn how to come home and actually just let that go a little bit and soften and get back to my feminine energy. How do you do that? Because even though your roles may be feminine, I can imagine the mindset to embody someone else, the balance might get a bit murky.
Well, even with Nicolette, I feel like even though, again, she was this amazing, strong, powerful woman, I feel like she did often sit in masculine energy. So it was that whole thing of at the end of the day, changing out of my wardrobe and putting on my own clothes and being like, okay, that's being hung up. That's done for today. I can now recalibrate back to who I am and myself and move forward in that place.
What is your circuit breaker?
I feel like I'm really good at being okay, between action and cut, I'm playing that person, that other version of myself, which is a character I'm playing. What is the story I need to tell? And then after cut, it really doesn't take me very long at all to be back to myself.
But what about in situations, say for example on Neighbours, you would do sometimes how many scenes a day?
17 scenes. I have the record for 37 years at Neighbours for doing 17 scenes once in a day whilst pregnant, wearing a 5 kilo strap-on stomach.
I was about to say we should note that she wasn't actually pregnant.
I wasn't
She was
actually
playing
pregnant.
a pregnant woman. How does one stay healthy, have a good mindset when you are working crazy hours and then coming home and having to learn lines all night? Where's the...
So the weekend leading up to that 17 scene day, I had a very quiet weekend and I spent a lot of time learning my lines because the next day, the Tuesday, was then also another massive day. So I not only needed to learn the 17 scenes for the Monday, I needed to learn them for the Tuesday. And it was just one of those things of like sometimes making sacrifices and having FOMO for the greater good. So not going out and socializing with friends too much because I know that come Monday, if I wasn't prepared, I would have felt really shit about myself. And like I want to do the best job when I'm working as an actor.
What's your dream? So
exactly. So what can I do to set myself up for success? And then also making sure that, you know, I wake up with enough time. I'm having a lemon water. I'm doing a vocal warm up on my way to work or singing in the car to like wake myself up. And then, you know, going through the day, basically. I feel like, preparation is the key for things like that.
Preparation and mindset. And we did actually move on from Mama Kay quicker than I realised. But I did want to say how happy I am that, you know, given her first prognosis 5 years ago, it was looking a bit scary. Obviously, she's a very positive, very healthy person.
Yes.
As someone who supported someone going through a breast cancer journey, what are some things that you can share for others who may be going through that same experience?
If anyone is going through, you know, whether they're going through cancer and a cancer experience personally or they have someone close to them that they love is going through it, like my heart goes out to you. It is so hard and unfair and cancer sucks. She cannot sit with us. She is not allowed to come. Just make sure that if you're being there for someone else, what are things that you can do every day, little things that you can do every day to be there for yourself and not to forebode, like not to think about the worst possible situations. I feel like every now and then I would spiral out of control because I would not be in the present moment, which is a big thing for me to be like, that's okay, in the present moment, she's here right now.
And she's okay.
And we just take that one day at a time because life is precious and you don't know what's going to happen. You could get hit by a bus tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
And it also just made me go, okay, I don't want to be scared of living. I want to be brave. I've got this one life, this experience. How can I live it to the fullest? Because, again, you just don't know what's going to happen.
What do you think was like a driving force getting her through this? Because obviously she kind of incorporated natural and Western
she did
medicine.
Both. Yeah. She did a clinical trial out of Switzerland. She actually did an EFT tapping breast cancer course through Bond University because there's direct links for it, you know, lowering, like dramatically reducing cortisol and adrenaline levels and boosting testosterone. So great feeling hormones. So she did a lot of, you know, a marriage of Western and Eastern medicine. But I think the biggest thing for her is that she wanted to live, you know? She really wanted to be like, I'm gonna fight this. You've got to be positive.
We're so happy about that.
So happy. Thank God.
We are nearly nearing the end of our chat. You and I can go down some serious rabbit holes, but I think we've been
5 hours later.
We've been really well behaved today. So I just want to finish up with a couple of really quick questions with you before we finish up, because I know that you've got a busy day. What book should every man or woman or non-binary person read today?
Thank and Grow Rich by Pam Grout. Not Think and Grow Rich, Thank. It's all about the power of gratitude and how when we live in a space of gratitude, I mean, everyone touches on this. Oprah, Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer. It's that whole thing of when I'm grateful for all the things that I have and what's going on in my life currently, it just opens you up to be in a more abundant space so that you can then attract more wonderful things into your life. You know, step-by-step book on manifesting, basically, and being grateful.
Who is an actress that truly inspires you today?
Oh, okay. There's a couple.
You can mention a couple if you want.
Okay,
I know
so
it's hard.
Reese Witherspoon's one. Also, Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Oh, incredible
amazing.
writer. Oh my gosh.
She's exceptional. They are not just actors. They wear many hats. And that's, you know, the goal moving forward is to continue wearing many hats and working on my other skills.
When was the last time and what was it that you did something completely thrilling?
Completely thrilling.
It's a tricky thing.
Making the short film that I made, you know, I felt euphoric after doing that. It was one of those things of like, the main reason I did it was to prove to myself that I could. And I feel like that was the last thing where I felt it was very thrilling being on set, being like, oh my God, everyone's here because we're going to make this movie that I wrote. I couldn't believe how lucky I was.
Oh my gosh, I'm so proud. Can you
Thank
tell
you.
us a little bit about the short film, actually? Because we have not touched on that.
Yes,
and
I can.
It would be remiss of me
Thank
not
you.
to ask.
I would be honoured. So it's called 6 Months, and the log line is time shows all wounds. And it's basically set in 2 acts with mirrored realities where the roles reverse. So I basically just wanted to make a comment on, it's set during COVID. What happens when we strip away all of life's noise? Because that's what COVID did. We all got shut up in our homes. We couldn't go out and socialize. We couldn't eat out. We couldn't do all of our normal creature habits. How does that affect how we relate to ourselves and then in turn affect our relationships? So that's basically what I wanted to explore.
Well, I've been very fortunate to see a snippet of this film, and it is amazing, and you have been accepted into film festivals all around the world, so congratulations.
Thank you so
I can't
much.
wait till we're actually allowed to view it
I know.
after the festival circuit. But my last question that I would love to ask you is, how do you stay wild at home, in life, love, career, everything?
So I went to sleep last night because I knew you'd be asking me this question. Thinking about how do I stay wild, and I played with lots of different thoughts in my mind, but the one that really, I kept coming back to was, I stay wild when I stay true to myself and I am just authentically who I am, that I'm not trying to be a version of myself. It's exhausting, and it's just, that's what keeps me wild is being authentically me.
I think that is a brilliant answer and something that we should all try and embody every day. So thank you so much for your time, Charlotte.
I'm so happy to be here.
It has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Love you.
Thank you for tuning in to Wildfemmes. We hope that you enjoyed that chat, and be sure to follow us on our journey over on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify. Stay wild.